It is estimated that around 1 in 10 school children are dyslexic. That's an average of 3 students per classroom. If not supported appropriately, dyslexic pupils cannot learn effectively, leading to frustration and failure. So are there simple techniques you can use to work effectively with dyslexic students? We film a dyslexia awareness course with SEN staff from Sackville School in East Grinstead, as they learn how to make their classrooms dyslexia friendly. This programme will start by looking at deepening our understanding of what it is to be a dyslexic at school.
If we can make or encourage teachers to be really aware of the variety of difficulties that a dyslexic student experiences, that it's not just a word blindness, but there are all these other organisational skills or the remembering of, verbal directions, things like that. I think if we can raise their awareness, that will help the dyslexic in the classroom.
Jane Myers is Head of Training at the British Dyslexia Association.
It is really quite common actually for a lot of children to get through primary education and then into secondary education without their dyslexia being assessed. And the reason for this is a lot of children are very bright and very capable. A lot of times when we think of dyslexia, we think of that can't do element. A lot of children can do, and they spend their education time finding strategies, compensations and ways of which they can deal with situations.
This morning we're going to be doing...
Julie Sweeting and Pauline Bridges are from the Medway Dyslexia Association, a local organisation affiliated with the British Dyslexia Association.
Magnetic resonance imaging scans show us that dyslexic brains use different areas or a different amount of brain to do activities such as reading and spelling. The way that we encourage teachers and TAs to support them is to find ways around their processing difference to help make learning memorable for them.
When the teachers ask me to read, I can't do it, and it gets really annoying because I can't read. If someone, especially on these long paragraph type things, I can't do it.
To get them thinking about the difficulties experienced by dyslexics, Senko Angie Shrubsole-Brett and her staff are asked to discuss their hobbies with each other without using any words containing either the letter S or the letter E.
And that person is going to tell the other two about their hobby. This activity is to help you understand a little bit about what it's like to have word-finding difficulties and also not to be able to express yourself fluently.
My hobby... oh, golly. Working with painting.
So I mustn't use the letter E. Right. Ooh. No sweat there then. OK. I do work...
Yes, and you need to monitor,
with...
so if she says any words with the end. Yeah.
I...
No, stain glass.
I make many different I can't even say all sorts. Many different... I make, yes. I can't do it. I just can't do it because I can't process my thoughts and avoid the letter at the same time.
It would be nice to get some feedback on how you felt while you were having to do that.
I just found it very slow. It's just a slow process. You're trying to go through a directory of words all the time, just through a word bank, just desperately trying to search for a word that one could use, and it's incredibly difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine, going on from what Jo was saying, that in the end you'd want to give up. You want to say, oh, well, look, what's the point? I can't communicate what I want to say adequately, and it's such a labour. So, I'll just clam up.
So you can imagine that for an adolescent pupil, it must be quite hard for them to stand up in front of their peers and talk if they're unsure about what's going to come out and whether they can find the right words.
Biggest nightmare for any dyslexic child is to be put on the spot and asked to do something that they know they're not very good at. There's a lot of competition in classrooms, as we know, and peer pressure. So to suddenly be asked to read something out loud just sends a lot of dyslexic children over the edge in a lot of senses. Sounds very extreme, but people will avoid that to the nth degree. And of course what happens is they'll also find other ways of doing it. I heard a story of a young woman who actually, she said she used to work out, there were 18 people before her, so if she worked on page 19, and she would sit there not listening to everything else but practising page 19, and was only horrified when actually there was a picture on one of the pages and she then had to read page 20. And of course she hadn't practised it, and she just said she fell apart. And it's just that whole kind of being put under pressure, the expectation.
Hopefully I will become more observant to children and maybe think more about if a child is avoiding a situation, that it might have other implications and it could be down to dyslexic problems.
Like sometimes when you've got to copy your homework off the board and everyone around you finishes like much quicker than you, and you feel a bit slow. You know.
I've just got a piece of writing that I want you to copy into your, or onto your piece of paper, or into your exercise books, as we would say to the pupils. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write this paragraph up. So you'll need to work quite quickly and do it as fast as you can. Because the only problem is that this text is in Greek.
The hardest thing I'm finding is that you've got to look up for each character. You can't take a whole word down because they just don't make sense at all.
What I really want you to get out of this is the fact that copying from a blackboard or a whiteboard or anything that's on a wall is actually a hard thing for some dyslexics to do.
It can't do much for your self-esteem.
No. You can see why some students ask you to write for them, can't you? What will you write that for me, miss? Because I can't.
Or won't let other people see their...
Yeah, that's the other thing they do, isn't it?
Yeah,
look at mine, I've done it. Yes.
You would want to just give up, really, and...
It's just so incredibly slow, though. Yeah. I've probably done about 10 words in roughly a minute.
Yes.
I'll copy it from someone else later.
Just you were told that there was only 5 minutes, so you were anxious from the start. You weren't going to make it to the end.
Yes. Yes.
Before the time limit.
You can see where the behaviour comes in, where I'm not going to do it and just pen down, not going to bother, not going to try.
Yes. So we often get issues with lack of self-esteem coming from failure in activities within the classroom.
Having time pressure put on them can have a huge impact, and that can cause a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, which can actually lead to a lot of what appears to be poor behaviour, because one way of actually getting out of doing something is to act up, if you like, and to take yourself away and exclude yourself from the situation. Being put under pressure on time, not only for example for reading in public or whatever, but also for writing. If you have to do exams or assessments, and of course we now assess our children right through education, and you're given a set amount of time to write something, for a lot of dyslexic children there just isn't the capacity to write in that kind of time frame.
One thing that I've specifically picked up on today, I think that I will hopefully take back to the classroom with me, is hopefully giving students more time to process information, to read, not to rush them, to give them more time.
If we're reading a story or something, I'll forget the start, and when we go back to the start, when we ask them questions, it's like, can't do it.
Reading is one of the most difficult...
One of the biggest challenges for a dyslexic pupil at secondary school is the amount of reading they have to do, but there are strategies that can be used to help with this, including differentiating reading tasks to make them more accessible to the dyslexic student.
The task you have here is that you have to read Act 1, Scene 4 of Macbeth, and then you've got some questions on the bottom of your sheet, and you have to read the questions and then find the answers in the text. Right. This is a reading ruler that you can use to help you read, and it can focus you in on the writing, so that you can actually put it over the writing, and it will help you to focus in on the questions. And you can either use it like that going down the page, or you can use it over a big block of text. And we also have some sticky notes that you can take information down on if you would like to. You might even consider colour coding these so that you have different colours for different characters. You're doing the same task, but your work has been differentiated, and you have a grid to help you organise the information that you have to gather from these questions.
My gratitude is...
No, this is to Macbeth, though. Duncan's still talking to Macbeth. This is Macbeth. Act 1, scene 4, line 50. Would thou hadst less deserved. So line 20...
Can you give me examples of the way that they have been differentiated, the activities that you've had?
We had the grid, which helped a lot to organise and structure the information that we were pulling out to put into it.
Can we now focus on the strategies that you were encouraged to use to help you with the reading of the texts that you were given?
Yes, we were given these reading rulers, which you can use to just highlight the particular line that you're on, and the next couple of lines, so you can read ahead. And they're also different colours, so that some children that would be able to read easy with a blue or a yellow colour, or there's other colours available.
My worst nightmare probably would be in the classroom is like when the teachers ask you to write a word up on the board. It could be like a short word or a long word, but it's hard to know if you don't know how to spell it.
Okay. You've got a whiteboard and some different coloured whiteboard pens there. So I want you to be very visual.
Dyslexic pupils also struggle with spelling. One way to help is to break up difficult subject-specific key words into syllables.
There's a th in there, isn't there?
Sis, yeah.
Use coloured pens and visual representations to highlight each syllable and make it more memorable for the dyslexic student.
No more than 3 letters, and she's
There's
somebody's
a photo
sister.
of Sin, the sis. Photo of Sin, the sis.
Another nice way of remembering friend is to do it in glitter glue. Glitter glue is very useful because once it dries, then it goes hard and you can feel over the letters to remember them. Yeah,
Very inviting.
and that helps the motor memory to remember the way the letters are positioned as well. And again, using 2 different colours and separating it into fry end as well. This is particularly for secondary age pupils because they're very conscious and aware, aren't they, of what they're doing. So once they've got a word like friend, they can then put it on a piece of card and they can write it in colour and they can put visual pictures with it if they want to, and then keep it in something like a credit card holder. Yeah, so that they can slip it in, and then when they're finished with it,
When they know it.
when they know it, or whether they're finished that subject or whatever and they don't need that topic word anymore, they can then change it. Yeah? So these are just a little piece of card, and we were saying as well that you could colour code these as well for different subjects, couldn't you? Yeah? And they quite like this idea because it's quite cool for them to use. It's easy to carry around and keep in their pencil case.
What I've got from today are more ways that I could help those pupils that do tend to pop up when it gets nearer to exams, and I suppose they've hoped it would go away, this spelling difficulty they had, or the fact that they worked slowly, or the fact they didn't organise their work very well. And I do feel that today has given me the confidence to say, look, yes, he has got, or she has got some dyslexia, but, you know, this will help. This will help.
For details on the resources used in this programme, log on to the Teachers TV website.